Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
We are live here at Petco Park on this Thursday evening. Padres fall in this series opener to the New York Mets by a final of 8-3. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we wrap this one up. Final totals in this one for the Mets, 8 runs on 17 hits, no errors. And for the Padres, 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. Padres dropped to 72 and 57. Mets improved to 67 and 61 with the win, the opener of this 4-game series. It's the first time the Padres have lost consecutive games since they lost 2 in a row. The game before the All-Star break and the game after the All-Star break. So that is since July 19th. It's the first time they've lost 2 in a row. Obviously, yesterday, the series finale against Minnesota and the series opener against the Mets here today. And we have plenty of time to get into each and every aspect of this game. Let me get into a couple of things here right off the bat. Number one, the final score and the fact that it was 8-1 heading into the bottom half of the 9th inning, really not indicative of how close this game was. Now, the Padres had some various issues in this game. Number one, offensively, they had good opportunities against Luis Severino. They had 2 on in the 2nd inning, 2 on in the 3rd inning. They had a runner on in the 4th inning. They had the bases loaded in the 5th inning, only got 1 run out of that inning as Severino was really starting to wobble in that 5th inning, but they did make it 3-1. You felt like they had a good opportunity to get back in this game. They had the leadoff man on in the 7th inning. Really after that 5th inning rally against Severino, Padres did not do a whole lot against the bullpen. The Padres did not have a hit with a runner in scoring position until the 9th inning. They end up leaving 9 on. So there was a lot, it felt like, especially early through the first 5 innings left on the table against Luis Severino. Look, Dylan Cease was good in this game. His final line, 6 innings and a third, 3 runs given up, just 2 earned. He did give up some hits, 9 of them. He struck out 7, walked 1. But you look at really what was a critical moment in this game. Really, really important. It was in the 4th inning. Cease gives up a 1-out single to Winker, who, by the way, I don't think I've heard Petco Park boo a player louder than Jesse Winker tonight. It's either Winker or it's got to be I can't remember a San Diego crowd here that showed that much displeasure for a player as much as Winker tonight. Anyway, but hey, that's all in fair game. Winker singles, and then Iglesias hits a ground rule double, okay, to put runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. There was a passed ball from Luis Campusano. He just missed a pitch. It nicked off his glove, rolled to the backstop. That allowed Winker to score from 3rd base. That allowed Iglesias to go to 3rd, and then an infield single with 2 outs allowed Iglesias to score. So really that passed ball, it directly resulted to 1 run scoring, but then another run scored as a result of the runner from 2nd going to 3rd on what ended up being an infield RBI single. So that was a really important moment in this game where it went from 1-0 to 3-0. So, look, then you have the 9th inning. Padres are down 3-1. They elected to go to Logan Gillespie in that spot just up earlier today from El Paso, and it was a really, really, really rough 9th inning for Gillespie. He got 3 outs. He allowed 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and the game got away. Padres made a little noise in the 9th inning, but that was it. And all in all, it's not a great night for the Padres after what was a pretty frustrating night yesterday, day yesterday against Minnesota. They've given up 35 hits in the last 2 games, 19 runs combined on 35 hits. So that's not a great recipe for success. It's been a tough couple of days, no doubt. Now, let me give you the flip side, okay? The flip side is this, before we start going crazy here, okay? Let me read that again, what I read earlier. This is the first time they have lost back-to-back games in the second half of the season since the first game after the break, and that followed the last game before the break where they lost both those games. So that was 2 in a row. That was the last time they lost 2 in a row. They had not done it in the second half, really. Okay, they had not done it. They had not lost 2 consecutive second half games in a row until here tonight on August 22nd after what has been an incredible run of play. Has the last week or so been a little bit different? Yes, they are now 3-4 in their last 7 games. My point is this. It happens. You have games like this, okay? Yesterday, Waldron's start didn't go well. Today, the offense struggled early. They were down 3-1. Game gets away late. It happens. It's baseball, okay? I'm not saying not every game is important this time of year. It is. It's a pennant race. It's that time of year, late August and September. But I am going to pump the brakes on any panic buttons after they lose 2 games in a row for the first time in over a month. So I would encourage you to just, let's see what happens tomorrow and the days after that. But look, there's no way around it. Last couple of nights have not gone particularly well. And when you give up 19 runs on 35 hits, it's hard to win games. Again, 19 runs on 35 hits combined in the last 2 games. But it happens. It's baseball. Let's see what happens tomorrow. They've got Joe Musgrove on the mound, Paul Blackburn on the mound for the Mets. We'll get into more of that later. We'll have the radio highlights for you. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Much, much more to come. Final score in this series opener against New York. The Mets 8 and the Padres 3. Our postgame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. against New York. Padres now 72 and 57. Mets improved to 67 and 61. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt in just a moment as well. First, let's recap this game from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Recap of Game 1 in this 4-game series, the Padres and the Mets on a Thursday night here at Petco Park. The Mets struck early against Padres starter Dylan Cease. Francisco Lindor started the game with a leadoff double. Mark Vientos was next.
Got a career-high 9-game hitting streak going, and he's been slugging during it. Hits this one hard over Machado down the left field line. Going to be more extra bases. Lindor rounding third, he scores easily. And Vientos into second, now a 10-game hitting streak. And the Mets go double-double to begin the night, 1-0 New York.
The score stayed 1-0 until the top of the 4th inning. Jesse Winker hit a one-out single. Jose Iglesias followed with a ground rule double to put runners on second and third base. Then a passed ball on Luis Campusano allowed Winker to score and Iglesias to move up to third. With 2 outs, Jeff McNeil beat out an infield single. That scored Iglesias from third. The Mets took a 3-0 lead. Offensively, the Padres had early opportunities against Mets starter Luis Severino. 2 on in the second, 2 on in the third. They then had a great scoring chance in the bottom half of the 5th inning. The bases loaded with nobody out. Jake Cronenworth grounded into a double play. That brought a run in from third base. That's all the Padres would score. They trailed 3-1 after 5 innings. It stayed 3-1. Dylan Cease pitched into the top of the 7th inning. Brian Hoeing would finish the frame. Cease went 6 innings and a third, gave up 3 runs and just 2 earned. The Padres could not get to the Mets bullpen. Danny Young pitched a scoreless 6th inning. Reed Garrett a scoreless 7th inning. Phil Maton a scoreless 8th inning. Then in the 9th inning, Logan Gillespie came on for the Padres, and it just did not go well. He would end up giving up 7 hits in that 9th inning, a variety of RBI base hits to the Mets. I'm going to spare you all the details. 5 runs scored, and the Mets took an 8-1 lead in the 9th inning. The Padres, to their credit, they did make some noise in the bottom half of the 9th inning against Mets reliever Oscar Brazoban. 2 walks for Brazoban set the table for Mason McCoy.
3-2 pitch, hit hard on a line into left field, down and a base hit. Peralta rounding third on his way. Nimmo's throw will go towards third base. An RBI single for Mason McCoy. His second major league hit, his first career run batted in, and an 8-2 game here in the 9th.
So an 8-2 game. Padres had a little bit of life in the 9th inning. A little bit later, it was Jerks and Profar.
3-2 again. Profar hard hit on the ground through the right side. And a base hit. Campusano on his way home. He'll score 8-3 in the bottom of the 9th inning. 2-out RBI single by Jurickson Profar on the 9th pitch of his at-bat.
So Profar picked up the RBI. That was a bright spot in the 9th inning, but that was about it. Final score, Mets 8 and the Padres 3. Again, it was a 3-1 game heading into the 9th inning. Padres were within striking distance, but really rough 9th inning for Logan Gillespie in that inning. Again, I said I'd spare you the details, but just to give you a little detail on it, Mark Vientos, a 2-run single. That made it 5-0. RBI single for Pete Alonso. Made it 6-0. RBI double for Jesse Winker. RBI single for Jose Iglesias. Went up to 8-1 in that 9th inning. Again, the Padres getting a couple of runs, but final score here tonight, 8-3. Let's step aside. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Much more to come as we wrap this one up. Padres fall 8-3 here tonight to the New York Mets in this series opener on the Padres Radio Network. post-All-Star break portion of the schedule with a series opening loss in Cleveland. So it's the first time since July 19th they've lost back-to-back games. We'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow with right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound. More on that coming up a little bit later on. Again, just to recap it quickly for you, Padres trailed 3-0 in this game. They made it 3-1. They had a rally in the fifth inning. There were missed opportunities early against Luis Severino. It stayed 3-1. Padres did not get anything else against Severino. They did really not do much against the Mets bullpen tonight. And then in the ninth inning, Logan Gillespie had a really rough ninth inning, gave up 7 hits, 5 runs. Mets made it 8-1. Padres scored a couple in the ninth inning, but unfortunately not nearly enough as they fall 8-3. Let's go downstairs here at Petco Park and hear some post-game reaction from Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, with Dylan tonight, it just seemed like some early on sliders, they were catching too much of the plate that the Mets were able to take advantage of. Is that kind of how you saw it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Definitely got better as the game went. I felt like for sure. Yeah, they came out swinging, man. They were, strikeout pitcher. They're going to go get their swings off early. Made some pitches that they could put some swings on. They found some holes.
Mike, if you like that Arise at bat last night, the Jurickson at bat and what you guys did in the ninth, I imagine you were still
same deal, man. Just Warriors, doesn't matter. Competition, score, home or away. You're going to get championship effort out of this group every night, and it's a really wonderful trait, special trait. Can't win them all, but put you in a pretty damn good position when you do that every night.
You sort of just answered my next question. You guys have been on, had such a great run here, and this was the first time in over a month.
It's not past tense. We're still going.
This is the first time in a month that you've lost 2 games in a row. I just kind of wonder your thoughts on that, and in terms of just you always know what you're going to get from your team.
Yeah, we know what we're going to get. That's the comforting thing about it. We know what we're going to get. We're going to get 26 guys who show up ready to compete, prepared the right way. See the game, play the game, and we've lost a couple in a row. It's going to happen, but yeah, I ride with this club. This club's ready to get after tomorrow already.
Did you notice an adjustment from Dylan after the first inning? Because they were squaring some balls up pretty hard. What did he do differently to kind of?
Look, he's got plus stuff. Started to maybe locate it a little better. He's a hard guy to square up, so I think he just started making a lot of his quality pitches and was able to get through and get his rhythm, get us into the 7th.
What'd you make of McCoy tonight? And was the I think the 5th inning at bat, did that lead you to give him that opportunity in the 7th? The way he.
Yeah. He let off the 7th, so.
The at bat that he had in the 5th inning. The 7th inning when you're down by 2. I thought that might have been a pinch hitting spot, but you stuck with him.
Okay.
Sorry. It could have been.
Right.
And you stuck with him given the at-bat that he had earlier and just kind of go into what you saw from him at the plate tonight.
I thought he had great at-bat. So he played a nice ball game. Big at-bat in the 9th and a couple walks. I thought he had a good ball game.
Now it's special. What's the plan for Waldron going down to AAA?
Yeah, we're still figuring out what that plan looks like. The biggest thing, didn't get a chance to comment on it before the game, but it's just a reset for Matt. We're in the position we're in for a lot of reasons, a lot of guys, a lot of contributions. But I got to tell you, Matt Waldron's been a huge part of our ability to be where we are. We've talked and, we know that guys are going through this, his first time. Michael's going through it as a starter, but Michael kind of got a reset button, used the All-Star break to get him some extra days. Also, we, unfortunately took the comebacker in Baltimore, but it gave him another, 10 days or so. Dylan got a little bit of a break over the All-Star break because he should have gotten the rain out in Pittsburgh, created a little bit of a breather for him. Matt Waldron hadn't had that, man. He's taken the ball. He's been on pretty much regular rest or getting an extra day here or there. Even after the All-Star break, he only got an extra day. He allowed Dylan to get one more, which allowed him to get 2 extra days. So, he's been carrying the mail for us, and done a really good job. Big part of what we're doing, how we're doing it. Just looked up and realized, you know what, we need to take a reset, for him to be able to go and work on a few things and, regroup a little bit and be ready to come back.
So is the early expectation he might maybe take some time off from throwing, or will he continue?
I don't think he'll take off from throwing. I think we'll figure out what that looks like relative to, how much time in between, getting some work. But, a reset's a reset from, being able to go and feel like he's got to go every 5 days. That help you? Okay.
You got some back end of the bullpen guys at the trade deadline, but can you talk about what Hoeing has done? Because it didn't work out tonight, but again, he kept a deficit.
He did exactly what we wanted him to do, keep it right there. He's been great. He's been good with the lead. He's been good and ideal in that situation. Finish an inning, grab the next one. And did a tremendous job picking up, Dylan in the 7th with 1 out, 1st and 2nd, gets out of it, goes out, throws up a 0 in the 8th, and 3-1 game, and we just weren't able to hold it there.
How did Tatis coming out of the running today? Is there been a decision whether it's tomorrow or Saturday for the BP on the field?
I think he's going to take some batting practice. Most likely tomorrow. Don't hold my feet to the fire, but it's a pretty good chance he's on the field taking some batting practice with the boys.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after today's game, 8-3 loss against the New York Mets. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building. A couple of things to touch on there, and we really didn't touch on it much during the pregame show today. I'm sure Jesse and Tony talked about it at some portion of today's broadcast. The Padres calling Logan Gillespie up from AAA El Paso. Obviously, it was a really tough inning for Gillespie here tonight. The move, though, the corresponding move was the interesting part, and that was optioning Matt Waldron back to AAA El Paso. And you heard some of the reasoning there from Mike Shildt from the Waldron perspective of it. I think another thing to consider, is this. The Padres are playing 18 games in 18 days. So today was Game 7. Now, obviously, it didn't go well with Gillespie today, but the bottom line is they need arms as they play 18 and 18 at this time of year. And look, even though Gillespie didn't go well in the 9th inning, he did at least, get you an inning there. I guess save having to use somebody else, if that makes sense. So there's that with Waldron. And look, I'm curious to see what lies ahead for Waldron. We talked about it yesterday in the post-game show, and we went over some of the struggles the last 5 starts or so. He has been really important for this rotation. I do think it's really important to acknowledge that, how good he was for about 2.5 months. I mean, he was consistent. He was great for 2.5 months. He's thrown more innings than he's ever thrown in his career already. So we'll see. I'm intrigued to see what the plan is, if there's a plan to get him back to the big leagues at some point this year, and what the Padres do moving forward with that rotation spot. So they have some options they could go to, but look, you feel for Matt Waldron a little bit, just in this sense, at least I do personally, just because he was so good for a while. He was so important for this rotation for a while. And I'm sure he's not thrilled to have to go back to AAA. But, look, it's sort of an interesting situation with his innings number, some of the ineffectiveness as of late. And, again, this 18-game and 18-day stretch where, at least for today, they needed, more arms in that bullpen. So we'll see what the Padres do moving forward with all that. I do just want to touch on as well Mason McCoy. This was a really nice game for McCoy, and we talked about him quite a bit before the game. Walk and a run scored in the 5th inning, another walk in the 7th inning. Hey, that walk in the 7th inning, Padres are down 3-1. That brings the tying run to the plate. That's a key plate appearance in that 7th inning. Didn't work out because Arise grounded into the double play right after. And then he has the RBI single in the 9th inning. So look, at least for the next 5-6 days or so, there may be opportunity here for Mason McCoy to get a few more starts. So that was good to see for McCoy. There was another bright spot in this game. Mike Shildt touched on it during the post-game press conference. Let's tell you more about it with our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Our relief pitcher of the game will stay on the Padres side of things here tonight because we have a really good option, and that is Brian Hoeing. Inning and 2/3, scoreless, 1 hit, no walk, struck out 3. And to Mike Shildt's point in the post-game presser, did exactly what he was asked to do, and that was keep it a 2-run deficit, and that's what he did. So Hoeing was really good again, and it is worth noting how good he's been. I mean, again, you thought about that trade with the Marlins, and obviously Tanner Scott was the headliner of it. Brian Hoeing so far for the Padres, now 8 appearances, 13 innings, a 0.69 ERA. It's been really good and really important, and what you really like about him is not just the effectiveness, but he goes multiple innings here today. Finished the 7th inning, pitched the 8th inning. You know, just really important to have a guy like this in your bullpen. So did a good job tonight, deserving of relief pitcher of the game as the Padres fall 8-3. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll also get into player of the game, play of the game coming up, as well as the Padres drop this series opener against the Mets. More post-game after this. Padres 3. We'll tell you about our player of the game coming up in just a little bit. We'll hear our play of the game as the Mets score 8 runs on 17 hits here tonight after the Padres gave up 11 runs on 18 hits in yesterday afternoon series finale against the Minnesota Twins. Again, we'll have our play of the game coming up a little bit later. I do want to point out one thing from this game that was really, really important. And we talked earlier about the pass ball for Campusano, how impactful that was in the fourth inning. In the fifth inning, though, Luis Severino started to lose it. He did. He did not have the command. He walked the leadoff man, a single for a rise. He walked Profar. Padres had the bases loaded. Fifth inning, nobody out, down 3-0. Opportunity to put together a big-time rally. Jake Cronenworth hit a ball really hard at nearly 111 miles per hour. He hit it right at Jose Iglesias, who made a great pick at second base to turn that into a 4-6-3 double play. That pick by Iglesias, and I bring it up in the context of play of the game. It won't be our play of the game tonight because we always go typically with an offensive play. But you could argue from a Mets perspective tonight, that was the play of the game. If Iglesias does not corral that the way he does and initiate what became a 4-6-3 double play, that inning may unravel on Severino and the Mets. And who knows what happens. Maybe the Padres tie, take a lead, whatever. That was an enormously important defensive play and a great defensive play by Jose Iglesias. And I know in the box score it will go down as a 4-6-3 double play for Cronenworth. Man, he smoked it, though. It was just a little bit of bad luck right at Iglesias, who made a really, really nice play on it. So just a little note there on the fifth inning and how it went down. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues on this Thursday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues. Everything has gone final today. The Yankees beat the Guardians 6-0 in New York. Giancarlo Stanton, a 3-run home run in that game. Aaron Judge hit his 48th home run in that game for the Yankees. Garrett Cole picked up the win for the Yanks. Nationals beat the Rockies 8-3 in D.C. Juan Yepes a home run in that game for the Nats. Cardinals beat the Brewers 3-0 in St. Louis. Cubs beat the Tigers 10-2 in Chicago. Miguel Amaya grand slam in that game for the Cubs. A's beat the Rays 3-1 in Oakland. Pirates beat the Reds 7-0 in Pittsburgh. Blue Jays beat the Angels 5-3 in Toronto. Astros beat the Orioles 6-0 in Baltimore. Braves beat the Phillies 3-2 in Atlanta. Adam Duvall, the solo home run in that game for Atlanta. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday. Let's take a quick look at the standings, where we are now at the end of tonight. In the wild card, here's what it looks like at the end of tonight. Padres and the Diamondbacks, of course, they have been atop the standings in the wild card for a little bit here. Well, because the Diamondbacks did not play today, and the Padres did, and they lost, well, the Padres have now fallen a half game behind Arizona for the top wild card spot. So the Diamondbacks are a half game ahead of the Padres, holding the top spot. Padres are in the number 2 spot. Atlanta in the third and final wild card spot. Atlanta won today. The Mets won today, so the Mets remain a game and a half out behind Atlanta for that third and final wild card spot. And, you know, it's so interesting. We talked for weeks about it being a real 6-team, race for those wild card spots. It really is something what a difference a few weeks can make, because after the Mets, it's the Giants who are 4 out. So the Mets have a lot of cushion between them and the next team in the standings. So right now, for that third spot, and again, we've got to see what happens with Arizona and San Diego, but right now for the third spot, it's really, at least at this moment, sort of a 2-team race between Atlanta and New York. So that's the deal with the wild card. As far as the division, look, as we know, Padres lose doesn't help your case, and kind of the same thing in the division. Padres dropped to 4.5 out behind L.A. Arizona, again, did not play today. The Dodgers also did not play, so no movement with those two teams. Diamondbacks now 4 games out behind the Dodgers, and the Padres dropped to third place at 4.5 out. So that's the deal with the standings at the end of this Thursday night. Let's tell you about today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Player of the game tonight. Got to give it to a Met, and we'll give it to Mark Vientos. Had a really impactful night. RBI double in the first inning against Cease, made it 1-0. And then in the ninth inning, it's a 3-1 game. Mets are looking for major insurance, and they got it. 2-run single from Vientos to make it a 5-1 game. I mean, that was a big swing. So a big swing early, big swing late, played good defense at third base. Did have one misplay that was ruled a base hit, but otherwise, a pretty good defense from Vientos at third. But look, offensively, again, 2 hits, 3 RBIs, and the 2 hits were very, very important from Vientos. So he's our player of the game. Big night for Mark Vientos, the young third baseman of the New York Mets. When we come back, we'll hear our play of the game. If you want to squeeze a phone call in, you can. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Final score in this series opener, Mets 8, Padres 3. Post-game show continues after this. Game coverage continues. Again, you look at the last 2 days, it has not gone particularly well for your San Diego Padres. 19 runs given up on 35 combined hits. Padres had some bright spots in both games, I suppose, offensively. The problem was Padres fell behind by a lot early yesterday. They only trailed 3-1 heading into the ninth inning in this game here today. Early missed opportunities offensively. We talked about the passed ball for Campusano being a really important play by Iglesias in the fifth inning to initiate a double play where 1 run scored and really limited the damage for Luis Severino in the fifth inning. But all in all, not a great night for the Padres. And again, they have lost back-to-back games for the first time since losing the final game of the pre-All-Star break portion of the schedule and the first game after the All-Star break. So it has been more than a month since the Padres have lost back-to-back games. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Look, these games are important, like I said in the open. These games are important this time of year. Everyone is. There's no way around it, and there's a lot of truth in that. But with that said, Padres have played really, really well. And I don't know that losing 2 in a row is the time to smash any sort of panic button. So let's see what the rest of this series holds. Would be nice to have a nice bounce-back win tomorrow for the Padres. We'll get more into that in just a little bit. First things first, let's hear tonight's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
0-1 to Vientos. The pitch. Fastball bounced up the middle, and that'll find its way through a base hit. McNeil has scored. Taylor's on his way. No throw from Merrill. 2-run single for Vientos against the drawn-in infield, and the Met lead is now 5-1.
We mentioned Mark Vientos in our last segment. We called him player of the game, and he provides tonight's play of the game. That was a big swing. Again, 3-1 game in the ninth inning, and with the Padres' propensity this season to rally and come back, you know what? Hey, anytime they're down by 2 going to the bottom half of the ninth inning, you can't count them out. You just can't. So for Vientos to have that swing against Gillespie, make it a 5-1 game, that felt like a really big moment in this game. So for that reason, Mark Vientos' 2-run single in the ninth inning, our play of the game. And that was just the start of the trouble for Gillespie in the ninth inning. He would give up 5 runs on 7 hits as the Mets built an 8-1 lead. All right, looking ahead to tomorrow. Game 2 of this 4-game series. Same time, same place. First pitch tomorrow, 6:40 p.m. Our Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show begins at 5:40. Right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. Right-hander Paul Blackburn on the mound for the Mets. Again, pregame coverage begins at 5:40. If you missed any of our postgame coverage tonight, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back and watch any portion of our post-game coverage on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight for the Mets. 8 runs, 17 hits, no errors. They left on 8. For the Padres, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 9. Winning pitcher, Luis Severino, who improves to 9-6. Losing pitcher, Dylan Cease, who drops to 12-10. Time of game, 2 hours and 57 minutes. And the crowd at Petco Park, the 41st sellout of 2024, 41,673. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 6:40. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park. Again, the final score here tonight, the New York Mets 8 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.